All right, so let's talk about training camp, and let's get to some of the news of the day. Mary Kay, you've got a Mack Wilson update. What can you tell us?
Well, first of all, Mack Wilson, as I reported last week, he was going to have a second opinion with Dr. James Andrews. But what they wanted to see throughout the week was how the healing happened. And so far, he's been healing very quickly. You know, the swelling is starting to come down and it's starting to look better fairly soon, which is good. That means that, you know, there's a chance that he might not have to have the season-ending surgery. And now it's my understanding, I was told that there's definitely a chance he could return this season. So I think that's really good news for the Browns. We all know that they're fairly thin at linebacker. They were counting on him to be a starter. And now it appears as though there's, I would say, a pretty good chance he will be back at some point this season.
Yeah, Ellis, we spent so much time talking about Mack Wilson really in this offseason, probably more than we expected to talk about Mack Wilson, but we certainly spent a lot of time on him. It was disappointing, I think, for that reason, to really see him go down. We didn't get a chance to really see what he could do in his second year, but it's a good thing for this football team, even if he's not necessarily fully the player that they think he can be, to at least have that opportunity to maybe get him back later in the year. Especially if, you know, you're getting banged up at linebacker elsewhere.
Yeah, of course, it's good news that he possibly could be back. It seems like a complete reversal from just initially how we felt about it, and then his follow-up tweets and Instagram posts seemed, you know, a little coded and emotional, if you will. But again, it's good news for the Browns and defensive coordinator Joe Woods. But again, this is a situation where they, of course, need to prepare as if he's not going to be out there for a while. And Mack is the type of player where he had a lot to prove this year, despite a little bit of what may have been a internal crowning with just how young the room is, and with him returning from last year. And of course, he seems real well liked and a young leader on that team. But he, again, had a lot to prove. And linebacker is the type of spot where it is truly, even though it's a cliche in football, you know, linebacker and running back are two positions where it's next man up. And when you lose that spot, regardless of reason, it may not be there for you when you come back. You know, BJ Goodson had an interception today, dropping into what looked like a deep cover four coverage, and picked off Baker Mayfield. You know, he probably would have been sacked before the play or before the interception. He still looked good and went up and got the football, something I definitely didn't see on tape from him. And it was, you know, a real, probably maybe in the highlight play of practice today. We got the defense really fired up. Of course, Jacob Phillips, someone we keep talking about with a lot of potential. And what if he just comes in and does what Mack Wilson did last year, and now he's sort of the young darling? And, you know, they're just, depending on when Mack comes back is going to be vital. And if it's, you know, 8 weeks from now, or say this team might be in a groove defensively, and, you know, he will come back in a role player type of way, but, you know, not be the cornerstone starter, or, you know, or the room's a mess and Mack Wilson will be needed dearly. But so again, it's good news, but this team's going to prepare without him, and they've got players who are ready to step up because they don't have a choice.
Well, and the good thing too, you know, Mary Kay, the other thing we've talked about, not just Mack Wilson, but how we don't know much about this linebacker core. You know, Ellis mentioned BJ Goodson. I think, you know, you always kind of have to be careful making really strong declarations early in camp. But I mean, at this point, I would be surprised if BJ Goodson isn't your starter in the middle week 1 against Baltimore.
Yeah, I would think that that's the way that it's going. I kind of always thought that it would be that, and it's kind of holding true. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think that I think Jacob Phillips is off to a strong start in his camp. He's been active. I always thought, you know, that an LSU linebacker that started and had as much production that he did in college would come in and look pretty good right away. That's what those LSU guys usually do. And that has proven true in the early going. You know, I've seen him get his hands on a football. I've seen him make some stops. I mean, he's showing up. You look out there and you see him. So I think that's good. I think Sione Takitaki had a good week. I think he really had a very nice week, especially the last practice that we saw, which would have been, speaking of what the heck day it is, that would have been Thursday.
Thursday, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he had a nice practice on Thursday. He was very active. He was around the ball. He was making some noise and making some plays.